Hello, everybody, and welcome to WOD on a Saturday morning. That's right, it's your boy Sean Big Luke hanging out with you on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, depending on what time zone you are in while you're watching WOD. Great pay per view coming up this week. Genesis with TNA. Jordan Grace wrapping up her contract with TNA. It may be Tiffy time, but according to Jordan Grace, it's WWE time. A lot to talk about on this show. Monday Night Raw to recap. If you have not went back and watched last night edition of the Nightcap, I hung out with my good friend, my good brother, mouthing off with Mike. We talked about SmackDown, gave you some breakdown on that. So if you haven't watched that, hit the pause button right now. Hit the live part on the Boom Broadcasting. Go back to the Nightcap, catch up on that, then jump right back to WOD. It's Sean. I'm ready to go. It's Saturday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what time you're watching this, and we got a lot to talk about on WOD.
This is Sean from WOD, and I'm with Chris Masters, the Masterpiece. And you are watching WOD on the Boom broadcast. Let's go.
Welcome back. Glad to have you right here on WOD. Beastie Boys made a song a long time ago called No Sleep in Brooklyn. Well, for your boy Sean, it's no sleep on WOD because here it is a Saturday morning after having a hot nightcap with my good brother Mouthing Off with Mike. We're right back here on the Boom Broadcasting, giving you a Saturday morning live show, talking WOD and just hanging out, having a good time, and so much to look into because we had a hot Raw, hot SmackDown, a hot NXT that we don't have time to really get into. Then we got a TNA premium live event this weekend, and we got to make some predictions. And for a special person on TNA, I said earlier in the opening, time is running out. Time is running out, and WWE for her is right around the corner. Let's jump into Monday Night Raw. As we always say, if you want a deep breakdown of the Monday Night Raw, then I encourage you to go after you listen to this. Tune back on the Boom Broadcasting. Go to live. Check out the Nightcap with Mouth Off with Mike and the President, Michael Davis, as you get that breakdown from Monday Night Raw. Definitely tune into all our other content on Boom Broadcasting. We got something for everybody. If you like baseball, we got it. If you like basketball, we got it. If you just want to get a quick laugh, we got quick hits. We dropped the mic on Wednesday. We got out of pocket. So whatever your forte is in this world of sports, we got it. But hey, appreciate you for being here with me on a Saturday morning. Now, our Monday Night Raw. And going into Monday Night Raw, it's a little upset. Yeah, your boy, I was upset. I will admit it. If you've been watching Out of Pocket, The Nightcap, WOD, Drop the Mic, any of the wrestling content we have on Boom Broadcasting, then you know I'm a Chad Gable guy. This your first time watching? Hey, I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm a Chad Gable guy. Gable can put on some good matches. I always thought Gable had everything you need to be a good mid carder and a good mid carder to put a guy over that's going to that heavyweight division for that world heavyweight title. I always thought Gable would be a good guy to keep around that heavyweight title when you need somebody to put on a fire match. Go back. If you don't believe Gable can put on a 5-star fire match, I encourage you, after you watch this, go on Monday Night Raw. Him versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title. It was fire. Gable is finest. Gable can work with anybody, whether you're big like Gunther, if you're big like the Big Show, if you're big like Bronson Reed and Otis, he can work with you. If you're a smaller lucha guy like Rey Mysterio, he can work with you. And going into this match, we knew it was going to be Gable and Penta. And I was upset because I said, Gable's got to put Penta over. You're not bringing Penta on the second ever episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix and have him lose his opening match to Chad Gable. And you want to put Gable in that spot because you want Penta to look good and have a good enough opponent that people can take as a serious contender. They'll take Penta to the limit. That's what we got with Gable. But once again, you hurt Gable's star power because losing to Penta now puts Gable kind of back in that back of the line where you're like, here's a guy that's going to be lost in the shuffle. He's going to become what Mike said, the best of the nightcap last night. He's going to be a Dolph Ziggler when we was talking about what different people are with Bayley. He should be the next Dolph Ziggler. That's what Gable's going to become, the Dolph Ziggler. And there's nothing wrong with being Dolph Ziggler. Nick Nemeth, he's tearing up in TNA. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're Gable, you're never going to get that payoff. And that's the biggest thing we said about Dolph. Hey, Gable, same thing they told Dolph. Go have a banger. Hey, TLC, go have a banger. Triple Threat, go have a banger. Fatal 4-Way, go have a banger. Make them look good. But hey, by the way, you're not winning tonight. Same thing we're getting with Chad. Go out there with Gunther for the IC title in the main event. Tear the house down. But you're not winning tonight. Hey, go have a 20-minute match with Penta. Tear the house down, be the opening match. Hey, guess what? You're not winning tonight. When is it going to be Gable's time? When is it going to be Gable's time? And hey, I'm glad Penta's there. Penta had a great match. Couldn't use the package power drive because KO's using it right now to end everybody's career. But we did see a modification of a driver that he used. And at first, it felt like WWE toned Penta down from the Penta we saw in Lucha Underground, AEW, on the Indies, Ring of Honor. Felt like they toned him down. First thing that made me mad was he didn't come out and do the Metal Zero. No fear, zero fear. He didn't do it. Now, we did get it in the match, but I wanted that Penta that made me like Penta. That Penta that when he fought, I believe it was either Cody or Kenny, and he does the Metal Zero, zero fear. He does that. And if I say it in Spanish wrong, please forgive me. Drop it in the comments, and I'll say it right next week. Sorry about that. But I wanted that Penta. When he took that glove off, he smacked him on the face with it. We got a little bit of that as the match progressed on. And I know one thing about WWE. With these guys who's been on the indies, big indie stars, they don't want to bring all the shabam and all the stuff that comes with it, the aura that comes with it at the beginning. They want all that to build up to make it look like, oh, he started doing this when he joined WWE. A good match. Gable had to lose, but it was a good match. One flaw I had was always does Michael Cole. And I like Cole. Cole to me is a great commentator. I think him and Pat arguably are the funniest two that you got together. They feed off each other. Pat knows the right things to say. Cole knows how to call play-by-play. But the difference between Cole and Joe on SmackDown is the stuff that Cole has to say, Joe's not going to say it. And no disrespect. Cole used to be a highly respected anchorman before he came to WWE. Had a polished career as an anchorman. Joe Tessman has been a polished commentator for MMA, boxing, football, you name it. Listening to Joe call on Friday night and Cole sometimes gets too animated. You will not hear Joe tell at the end of the match when Penta won, welcome to the big times. We know that WWE is the big fish in the pond. All of us know that. Now, there are going to be some people that's AEW people that says AEW is the big fish in the pond. And guess what? That's your opinion. That's your prerogative. But if you look at production, marketing, sales, ticket sales, door sales, buyouts, fan base, family base, kids base, everything, WWE wins in that category. That's just honest. That's facts. Spitting bars. That's facts. You don't have to put the rub on AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and just say, welcome to the big time. You can say, hey, Penta, man, this guy's going to be a superstar over here at WWE. And Cole is only doing what the script says and what he's told in that headset. That's what he's doing. But he does it for everybody that's in. He did it for Penta. He did it for AJ. He did it for Motor City Machine Guns. He's done it for everybody that's come from AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA. He always does it. That's something that I feel like you don't have to do that. We know WWE's the big time. You can say, this guy's going to be a star. He's been a star on the indies. Man, we got him here. This guy is the future for WWE. And you can leave it like that. Good match. Hate to see Gable lose. Penta got a little heat on this. Heard Penta went over with his promo and they were very upset. So Penta's already walking on that fine line with WWE where he's not kind of going to follow the rules. And hey, that's how Penta was at AEW. Penta's his own guy. That's him. I thought it was cool. Now, did the promo go a little longer than what it expected? You felt it. You felt it went longer than what it was. Because Penta was never a guy to cut a long promo in AEW and all the other places I've seen him, Lucha Underground. But hey, Penta's letting them know right now that, hey, you guys signed me. Yeah, take me how I am. Take me as is. Hey, this is me. Then we go to another good match right here. Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser. That looks good right there. But the main ones we want to get into was the Women's Intercontinental Championship Finals match. Laria Valkyria versus Dakota Kai. Oh, Valkyria had to win because, you know, it goes back to when they showed it. She had to eat that annihilator by Nia, with Nia standing up and having to go down. Hey, I told you that night on the nightcap, man. Shout out to her. Hey, she ate that thing, man, like a champ. So you knew she was going to win it, but here was a good time that Dakota's always been the unsung hero in Damage Control. Yes, she was a tag champ, but she's always been that person as a tag person. This was a good time to give her this title. And then she could have dropped the Valkyria later on down the road, but it would have been a good way. And I know WWE, they don't want to heel mid-card champions. You gave Chelsea the title. Tell you had to give it to Chelsea. Sorry, Michin. Any other time, Michin, I would have picked the one. But they would not have gave the title to Chelsea. They would have ride that night. But here was a good time to give somebody who deserves a title. And Dakota, it would have been her breakout moment. She could have held the title for 42 to 90 days. Then drop the Valkyria. But here's somebody who needed it to solidify herself as a true single star. And not just in the shadows of Damage Control as being that person. I mean, you got to remember when Dakota was still hurt. He had Asuka. That was a champ with Kairi Sane. Io was the women's champ. And Dakota said, well, I'm the brain of the operation. This is how you erase all of that and you make her a star. And now make it where she's a star of Damage Control by being the only one that's a champ. WWE to me sometimes drop the ball. And I say it best with AEW. I also say it with WWE. When they get it right, they get it right. Chelsea Green, they got it right. When they get it wrong, they get it wrong. Lyra Valkyria, our Intercontinental champ, should have been Dakota Kai. Then we get the street fight at the end. Priest versus Balor. Good match right here. And the one thing about this match I liked about is, guess what? It ended at 10:30. If you would have told me that this show was advertised to be 3 hours and wrap up in 2 hours and 30 minutes on Netflix, I would have took that bet even money and said, no, they're going to go 3 hours. Honestly, when the show ended with this match, I kept saying, hey, when it went over, they said the stream is over. I had to go change to another Netflix show just to make sure Netflix was still working and that we just didn't get kicked out of the Raw stream. That's okay. Just because, and that's one thing about being on cable. If they say 3 hours, they got to go 3 hours. That's about one thing about being on Netflix on streaming service. You don't have to go the whole 3 hours. You can get everything in 2 hours and a half and just cut the stream and be done. Send everybody home. That was a good way right there. I really like that. I'm really thinking now with WWE on Netflix, you're going to get some 3 hour shows. You're going to get some 2 hour and a half shows. That's a happy balance right there. Very good balance right there for us. Now, as we move on to the big announcement that was made this week, and it is the partnership of TNA and WWE announce a multi-year partnership that will create a crossover opportunity, or it's like what we call now today's world a transfer portal, where people will be able to be on both shows. This is something that should have been happening. They dabble with it for the past 2 years. It's worked. And it goes back to when we seen Mickie James, the TNA champ, in the Women's Royal Rumble. And everybody said, well, it had to be done because she was a Dockhouse champ and she's a former WWE superstar. So why not have her? And Mickey's going to be the unsung hero of this merger. You know, a lot of people think of the merger was started with the brainchild, Triple H, TNA coming together. Hey, let's make this work. But let's go back to that first Rumble that Mickey James came. And Mickey James said one thing: I will do the Rumble. But it's two things you got to do, WWE. WWE, you got to do. Number one, I got to come out on who I am, the cowgirl, hardcore country. I got to come out on hardcore country, my theme song. That's what I am. I'm the cowgirl. And I got to wear the TNA women's title. Don't matter where I get eliminated at, but these two things I got to do. That right there is what opened up the window. Because she could have came back as Mickey James on her WWE old thing. She could have left that title in the bag in the back of the locker room. But being very vocal said, two stipulations. TNA women's title is going to be on my waist. Hardcore country, where I'm going now over there in TNA. That opened the door. Then you saw Jordan Grace and you just saw more people come over TNA. The merger has been great. And I always say Triple H is, we're going back to these territory days where you're going to see WWE champs on TNA, TNA champs on WWE, TNA personalities and talent winning WWE titles and being a TNA signed wrestler, but with a WWE mid-card title, with a WWE tag belt. You're going to see that. Vice versa with WWE talent going to TNA, winning the TNA X Division title, TNA tag titles. You're going to see that. You could get the Usos to go unify the WWE tag titles, then go to TNA and unify those titles and beat the Hardys. Just fantasy armchair booking. That's all it is. This is great right here because now it resurfaced talent where if you're WWE, you already have a loaded roster. But then you can go get a Joe Hendricks to do a one-off on a WWE Premium Live event. You can go get a Moose, a Frankie Kazarian. You can get the Hardys versus the Usos. You can go get Josh Alexander. You can get some of these top guys in TNA and bring them to NXT. You got Rosemary. You got Mosh, Slamridge, The System, Nick Nemeth. You can get all of this and mix it in. If you're TNA, it's going to be some guys that are off limits. Cody, he's going to be off limits. But Cody would be the only one to be open to do it. Roman, he's definitely off limits. He ain't going on TNA. Roman, the original Tribal Chief, is not showing up on TNA. If that happens, then you might just say the doors are open. Anybody can show up. Roman's off limits. Solo may not be off limits. Solo may show. Main event Jey Uso is off limits. He's not going on TNA. Big Jim, he can go on TNA. Big Jim go on TNA. Now, the only way this happens if the Hardys got to cross over to WWE to fight the Usos. That's the only way they're going to have that match. The Usos ain't going to TNA to fight the Hardys. Who's some other people can go on TNA? You can have the New Day show up on TNA. Kevin Owens falls in that in-between. Can you do it? You wouldn't do it. I think he's a more of a no-go. McIntyre will definitely go back to TNA. He had history in TNA. He's somebody could go over there. Punk's going to definitely be a no-go. He's not going over to TNA, crossing over. If somebody from TNA wants to fight Punk, it's going to be on WWE Premium Live event or on the WWE Monday Night Raw. Rollins not going to TNA. So some people that's not going to do it, but you got a lot of time. A guy like Carmelo Hayes could go to TNA, have some good matches over there. Trick Williams could go to TNA, have a good match over there. It's a lot of people that you can do this. And it's going to work because guess what? Naomi, she could go back to TNA. Nick Nemeth could cross over. May not do a match in WWE, but who's to say on the Raw? He's got the TNA World Heavyweight Champ sitting on the front row. Heavyweight title sitting on the front row. That could happen. WWE just did a great deal by doing this merger. I think it just opens the door. Once again, it just tells me that AEW got to step on the gas. I know you do a partnership with New Japan. I know Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, all this stuff, but you got to start asking yourself now, and this is Sean, just being honest. Do people know New Japan like we knew it a few years ago before COVID when the Bullet Club was over there? when you had Cody over there. When Cody went to the Indies, and all of us love WWE. I tell the story all the time. When Cody walked out that door, went to the Indies, I walked out of that door with him. And that's when I fell in love with the Ring of Honor, the New Japan, the Bullet Club. I knew about the Bullet Club, but it got even bigger. Does New Japan have that base in America with American fans? That when AEW cross over with New Japan and do these premium live events, do we know these people? To me, this was WWE making a power grab to work this out with TNA, to lock this multi-year deal in, so that now it puts them a step ahead of AEW. And if you're TNA, you were kind of falling into third place. Because for a long time, it was WWE, TNA. Then AEW came, it was WWE, AEW, TNA. Now, if you're TNA, your people are going to be seen on the WWE because you got a lot of WWE fans who don't watch TNA that's going to be watching that to see who's going to cross over. Hats off to TNA and WWE for making this happen. They're going to start NXT, but I think we're going to see it spill over to the Monday Night Raws and the SmackDown, and definitely on the premium live events, especially with the Royal Rumble coming up right around the corner. Now, before we get ready to get out of here, let's do some SmackDown talk, and then let's do a little TNA Gensis pick. SmackDown, like I said, we won't go that deep into SmackDown because me and Mountain Off and Mike did it on the nightcap. So definitely go check it out. Big thing for me on SmackDown, I'm going to just stay right there. Solo falls in line. It's Jacob's time. Won't talk about none of the matches. Great matches on SmackDown. Like I said, go watch Nightcap. But my biggest favorite for SmackDown was Solo showed tonight when he walked out of the ring. He's going to fall in line. It's going to happen. It's going to be when Roman comes on WWE SmackDown and the Usos come and the Honorary Sammy comes, that Solo falls in line. And Jacob's going to come out and the Tongans are going to come out. And they're going to say, hold on. And he's going to say, Ula follows on Roman. Must acknowledge Roman as my tribal chief. You should acknowledge Roman as your tribal chief. And all hell's going to break loose. It's Jacob's time. You saw that tonight. Jacob cut a great promo. They're going to turn him loose. Like I said on Nightcap, I want to see the MLW Jacob Fatu. I want to see the Reality Wrestling Jacob Fatu. That Indie Jacob Fatu. I want to see GOD, the Gorillas of Destiny, get back to GOD in New Japan when these guys were rogue. I mean, they were just cutting rogue promos, everything. That's what I want to see. Solo, we can say hats off to him. He's done an outstanding job carrying the bloodline during this time frame when things with Roman was gone. He's done an outstanding job carrying the bloodline through this. I think he gets more credit. He does not get the credit he deserves. He should get more credit for that, for what he was able to do for the bloodline by carrying this story along. And a lot of people thought, like Mike said, when Roman lost to Cody, it was over. We just got more. We got more now with the Bloodline Civil War. A whole lot more. The Honorables came back. So this was a great thing. And still you got Drew, who's got a hit list against the Bloodline. All of that still added up. So you remember Drew pardoned Solo and said, I'm not going to bother you right now because we got a common enemy. But now if Solo follows back in line, he makes himself a target for Drew. That's a new storyline right there, Drew and Solo. So that's going to be big right there to see Solo fall in line. And it's Jacob's time. It is Jacob Fatu's time. Turn that guy loose. We just found out that on Saturday Night Main Event, he's going to be fighting Big Braun Strowman, one big SOB. And you talk about a match where two big guys are going to throw down. That's going to be the match right there. And Jacob Fatu should run through Braun. He should run right through Braun just like that. 1, 2, 3 match over. That's how serious it needs to be to really put Jacob on that level where we want to see him. Now, our next thing we want to see is time for TNA Gensis. So let's make some picks, and then we got some breaking news, and then we're out of here. TNA Gensis will be coming up this weekend on the Premium Live event. It will be on January the 19th, which is a Saturday night. So tonight, TNA Gensis will be, and it is Jordan Grace's last match in TNA. So Jordan Grace will be going against the lady name who we will not mention on this show. And the lady who we will not mention on this show will be going over. Jordan Grace doesn't go out with a win. She's WWE bound. Soon as she takes care of business and wrap things up with TNA with this match on Saturday night, she's getting herself ready for the Royal Rumble to make a debut at the Royal Rumble and sign that WWE or NXT contract. Now, next match, Frankie Kazarian versus Leon Slater. I'm a SoCal guy, so I got to go with Frankie Kazarian to win this match. And Leon Slater's been looking good in TNA, but Frankie should win this one. Moose, the TNA X Division champ, versus Ace Austin. Moose wins. He's heart and soul TNA right now. He is the longest tenured person besides the Hardys and Josh Alexander in TNA. Why take the belt off of him? Spitfire, Jody Threat, and Danny Lua versus Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance, the personal Courage for the TNA Women's Champions. Of course, Spitfire is the champions. It's time for Ash by Elegance, David Brooks, to get a title in TNA. She's going to show up to Rumble. She needs a title. Why not come to Rumble as the TNA Knockouts World Women's Tag Title and start something with the WWE Women's Tag Champs backstage after the Rumble? Right there. NXT, you can open the door. Because I really think Bianca and Naomi are going to lose to Meta 4. Why not have Ash by Elegance win the title with Heather by Elegance, show up at the Rumble, get eliminated, run into Lash Legend, and my other girl, Candice from Meta 4, and start something right there where they can have a match. Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana, I Quit match. This should be Josh Alexander to win. Josh Alexander is one of those guys I can see in the open portal being in WWE. He's got the look. He's got everything you want for NXT. He's a guy that I can see coming to NXT winning the Heritage Cup and really getting that going and bringing it back. And doing the Heritage Cup, not only on NXT, but TNA. Doing Heritage Cup matches on TNA. I can see that. The Hardys, the champs versus the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. Hardys ain't losing this title. I think the Hardys going to be at the Rumble. Why not have the Hardys show up as tag champs at the Rumbles? But one of them, out of both of them, one will definitely be in the Rumble. Hardys not losing this match. Then you got Masha versus Rosemary for the TNA Clockwork Orange House of Fun match for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. I like Rosemary. Rosemary's got to win this one. Sorry, Masha. I do like Masha Slamovich, but I think Rosemary should win this one. We got to have one title change hands. Because right now I said Moose is going to keep the title. Well, we got two title change hands. That's a good pay-per-view. I got Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance winning the tag titles. So I'm going to take Rosemary to win the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Only reason she doesn't win is if Masha shows up at the Royal Rumble. And that's something that could happen. Then the System versus Eric Young and Steve Macklin. This is going to be our opening match right here. The System should win. And then the singles match for the TNA World Championship. Nick Nemeth, the champ, versus Joe Hendry. Nick Nemeth had not signed a big deal. I would say Joe Hendry. I've been picking Joe Hendry every time he's in this match. And TNA has let me down. Fans of my heart wants to pick Joe Hendry to win this title. Now knowing that Joe Hendry may not show up at the Royal Rumble because he's booked to be on Chris Jericho's cruise, opens up a different story right now. If WWE dropped the ball and didn't get Joe Hendry signed for the Royal Rumble, shame on them. You talk about one of the biggest pops, that would have been it right there. To see his face put up on the screen, see him do the turnaround, see the crowd singing his song, I Believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, see the signs up, all of that, just to get that aura of Joe Hendry as a true star. Because he's a star. He's a self-made star that got himself over. To see all of that would have been great. But now that with Nick Nemeth signing another contract, Nick Nemeth should win this match. And if Joe Hendry wins, I will be shocked. Because every time Joe Hendry's in this match, I pick him to win. Nick Nemeth should win this match. Nick Nemeth should show up at the Rumble as the TNA World Champ. We have not had a TNA Men's Champ be in the Rumble yet. This is the year. Nick Nemeth already has history. He's been Dolph Ziggler. They can say, here's a guy formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, who's the TNA World Champ. Went to TNA to go back and find himself, get back to his roots. Won the World Championship. Now he's in our Royal Rumble. You guys remember when he was Dolph Ziggler? He won all these accolade titles. IC, NXT, World Heavyweight, US title, Tag Champ. All this stuff Dolph's done, they can name all of it. Won the Money in the Bank, all this stuff. They can name it. And he can show up in the Rumble because we have not had a TNA Men's Champ to show up in our Rumble. And Moose is not coming. It's got to be Nick Nemeth or it's got to be Joe Hendry. If Joe Hendry's going with Chris Jericho, Nick Nemeth is going to win. Nick Nemeth is bringing the title to the Men's Royal Rumble. And now our breaking news for we sign off. We just found out right here. This is exclusive. If it happened on Friday night, so we're giving it to you Saturday morning. If you missed it and you missed after the nightcap, you decide to go to sleep, we're giving you breaking news. Roxanne Perez calls Bayley out for a match on NXT Tuesday night. Roxanne Perez ain't losing this match on her home turf. This is a SmackDown worthy match. This is another main event for Bayley on SmackDown that she could have on SmackDown that's got, and no disrespect to NXT. You want to keep people watching NXT. You want to keep people tuning to that CW out, watching it, or that CW channel, watching it. So there's no disrespect to NXT, but this is a SmackDown worthy match. To have the prodigy, Roxanne Perez, pretty much make her initial debut on SmackDown without being signed to the roster to fight Bayley. Being this match on NXT, Roxanne goes over. 2 losses for Bayley back to back. Get word for Bayley. Get word for my girl. I'm a Bayley guy. I'm a role model guy. That's why it hurts sometimes. And as Damien, I say about Damien all the time, that's why it hurts sometimes to be the workhorse. Because sometimes when you're the workhorse, you take a lot of L's. When you finally get that payoff to win the title, you don't have long title runs because you're a transitional champion to either get it to the next heel. So a new and up-and-coming babyface can win the title. Bayley loses to Roxanne Perez on NXT on Tuesday night. We hope you have enjoyed WOD on this Saturday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what time zone you're in to watch this. We hope you have enjoyed it. We will be back next week, better than ever, for WOD. This is Sean. I'm signing off. Enjoy your TNA Gensis tonight. And hey, don't forget, we got Raw, we got NXT, we got AEW, we got SmackDown, and we got Saturday Night Main Event next Saturday in our wrestling week to watch. So we got a lot of stuff we'll be talking about and previewing on next week. This is Sean, and I'll see you next week on WOD.